And I think the lack of control over how the ink flows sometimes is really gorgeous. Hello and welcome to the studio of the Vale London. I am Melinda Marquardt and I am the founder and owner of the Vale. I started the Vale about a year ago. I started drawing and designing about a year and a half ago, and then I started getting these beautiful patterns coming together, and I thought, let's do this, why not? Let's start a company and pull a whole collection together, and I am now launching the second collection in Paris. The whole point of the Vale is that the hand of the artist comes through in the final product. So this pattern is based on masks that I collected from South America. So every single stroke that I did with the ink is a direct translation of those masks and the texture on them. Every season I pull together imagery from magazines, from my travels, from sketchbooks, from all kinds of sources, and I pin them up on this board, and it gives me an idea of what has inspired me over the past 6 months. It's a really nice way for me to map it out and see where my thoughts are taking me for the next collection. So I'm going to do a little illustration today using my favorite inks. These are Sennelier shellac inks, and I love them because they create this really gorgeous, almost 3D finish and with a really nice shine to them. I have a selection of pens that I've collected, and each one does a different variation. I usually use this one for smaller line strokes. It is just kind of a messy ink drawing, which I think adds to the beauty of it being all done by hand, and in that final print you're going to see those big globs of ink and they are going to look 3D on the wall. And I think the lack of control over how the ink flows sometimes is really gorgeous. Yeah, so you can see in here you get that really beautiful shine from those shellac inks, and it gives it a lot more depth and I think adds to the beauty of the image with the matte finish of the chalk against the shellac shiny finish. The way that I create a pattern is by taking individual components and placing them in Photoshop. Every single component is actually separate, as you can see. It was very important to me that every single brush stroke and every single pen stroke was visible in this. This was the first pattern I actually designed for the entire collection. And I just started drawing this lion, and it was based on some photos I took on a safari. And I just loved his face, so I wanted to make him the center of this design. So I'm going to give you a little tour of my bedroom. This is very personal space, and I keep all of my favorite things in here. And this is where I've put my lion wallpaper. And I think it's absolutely a lot of fun in the bedroom to have a big print behind the bed. I have this fun lion pillow, and it's made up of all components from the collection, including the fluffy trim called Le Flouf. And of course the lion again. I think it ties really nicely into my blue color palette in here. So this is the original drawing for Cynara wallpaper, which is an artichoke, which comes from the same family as the Scottish thistle. This is a very different technique to ink, and it's a very different technique to my watercolors. I like to get in there with the eraser and sort of sculpt that little area to make it more precise. Just keep going back in over and over again to get the shape that I want. I like that there's so many different aspects to it. It's not just the designing, it's seeing people's reaction to what I've done and created for them to use in their homes. I just absolutely love seeing the final product. It makes me really happy.